Kyle, how are you, man?
Great.
Slater, our good friend Slater Moore recommended you come on the show. And when people like that recommend you come on the show, you listen to them.
Yeah, Slater's a good buddy.
Yeah?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Excited. I haven't been on a podcast in a while, so.
Oh, but you have. Damn, I always love it when we're somebody's first
I think
podcast.
it was 6 years ago, so it feels like the first again.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Reborn.
Yeah.
Born again podcast virginity. Sweet. Let me ask you something right off the bat. I don't know how much of a chance you've had to check out the show. You did text me and say episodes are about an hour, right? Which means you did your research. So I love when people do that.
With some research.
Did some research. Obviously, in the show's title, we combine photography and mindsets. We like to try and get inside the heads of creators. And you're in the hot seat today. Does that work for you?
That works.
All right. Would you say you're living your dream life, man? You're in Bozeman, Montana. You're making films. You're surrounded by beautiful wildlife. Looks like you've spent a lot of time in Yosemite or in Yellowstone, I believe.
Yep.
Are you living your dream life that you once thought of? Or
I'm working towards it.
okay, what does that mean?
So I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I want to get to a point where photography and film is full time. Right now, it's definitely for me at least. It's like a side hustle. You know, I've kind of had this evolution of photography where it was like growing up, you know, something to do in your free time.
Right.
Kind of jumped on the social media thing when Instagram was hot, you know, early, and I was shooting for Instagram and all those things, and then I've kind of watched it evolve into like, hey, I can make some money doing this, but not quite enough to be like solely my full-time gig. And it's like in the last 2 or 3 years, I've seen the light at the end of that, like that figurative tunnel of, hey, I think I can do this. Like, but how do we, you know, get there? Like it's in sight, but how do we get there? And that's, I think once I'm there, hopefully, I mean, I don't know, I'm one of those guys too, like I never want to retire. Like I want to be 70 years old, not knowing what I want to do in my life. But yeah, I think we're getting close to being full-time into film, photo, maybe some writing. And then maybe, yeah, he could call that a dream life. But
Is there something comfortable about always searching a little bit?
I think so, right?
Like always like, I'm almost there. That's kind of a
What
nice
does being
place
there even mean, though, right? Like, I don't think we're ever there, you know?
Well, it might be a mentality. Like
Sure.
you might not ever be there, but you might decide, I don't need to push anymore. There's nothing more I want to pursue. I'm like good just doing the same thing every day versus like I could do a little more. I want to do it in this direction or just a little bit over there. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's mentality more than actuality.
Yeah, I always struggle with this thought of getting there, or I've made it, or I've done it. Because I don't know, as creators, I don't know. Maybe we think that when we reach a certain point, and this will mean I've made it or I've gotten there. But do we really see ourselves putting our feet up at that point, especially as creative people? I think we're always kind of searching for more. So I'm not really sure.
I remember watching this video like, I don't know, a couple months ago about the premise. It was on YouTube. The premise was like trying to get away from feeling like you always need to be productive. You guys might have seen that. It went pretty viral.
Who is the YouTube creator?
I can't remember. And I thought of that immediately. I was like, damn, I should have known this guy's name.
Was it Matt Davella?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I was hoping it was, because literally referenced that maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay. It might have been. I should go and find it. But
For the sake of the story, it is.
Yeah, sure it is. It's such a beautiful concept, right? Because like I work full time right now I'm a guide in the park, in Yellowstone Park, photo guide, wildlife guide, all the things. And then I'm also like working on a documentary project, trying to push some photo stories while I'm doing that. And it's like, you need to turn your brain off every once in a while and catch up, right? Like catch your breath. But it's so hard because you get home, it's like today, for instance, I've just been working 8 days in a row. doing stuff in the park, and I'm like here, and I immediately got to go like right into all the stuff I'm supposed to catch up on as far as like film and photo and all that. And it's like, hold on, like let's just take a day and do nothing and just relax. But it's so hard to not be like constantly pushing and being like, oh well, that person put something out, so it's time for me to do it. And I don't know. That's
why do you find it so hard? Is it that seeing other folks putting things out and thinking that you're being, for lack of a better term, outworked, or you can insert whatever thing you want there. Is it that? Is that why it's so hard? I mean, you can only speak from your experience.
Right. I've tried so hard to like we all do it, like the comparison type of living that we're all in now. Like we've moved so far away from community, and now everything is just like compare. And I think it's got to have something to do with it. Like when you're sitting on your ass at home, relaxing, catching up on whatever it is, and you're watching all this beautiful stuff online constantly because it's always available and there's always something new. Like that definitely, I feel like that definitely, it motivates you, but it also, if you're not working that day or something, it can make you feel a little bit like, maybe I should be, like let's get the camera and go outside and go shoot something. But
that's the problem though, right? When you're on your off days and you're looking at content, you're catching everybody on their productive day.
which their productive day might have been 4 months ago, but you're seeing it. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, oh man, am I the only person sitting around watching this new show on Netflix?
Right.
So I hear you. From personal experience, I've also really struggled with trying to intentionally do nothing. So I can definitely relate. I've tried to find some things that feel somewhat productive or are simply just fun, completely outside of the realm of photography. For me in the beginning, like finding something that just was slightly productive, for example, reading a book, a fiction book, let's say, I still felt like I was doing something that was good for me, but that took me out of the headspace of being a photographer, being a creator. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Riding a bike or something, right? Like
riding a bike. This has nothing to do with being a creative, but I know being outside is good for me. So like it's kind of productive in a different sense, right?
I'm wondering too, like you mentioned, Kyle, the heyday of Instagram, or when it was popping off with photography and those kinds of things. And the analogy would be like 10 people in a room with $1 million of cash. It was like easy to like, let's keep grabbing money. If we keep at this, we're going to come away with a lot. And now it kind of feels like 1 million people in a room with $10 cash. And to me, it's taking the pressure off a bit, because it's like, I'm not gonna fight tooth and nail for these $10. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I'm gonna try to enjoy it. Versus like I'm missing out if I don't do this. So I feel like even the mentality of the platform has shifted a bit. I'm curious your thoughts on that in terms of like how it is now versus how it was, and where we're going with it, and maybe it reprioritizes your why in photography. It has for me, and I think kind of a nice way in that sense.
Mm-hmm. You know what it is? It just used to be like fun, like really fun, and like I hate that like all of these conversations lead to like, oh, how much we like hate Instagram or whatever. But it used to be like I'd go out, I'd shoot these cool pictures of birds in my backyard, and all the people that I interacted with on the app would see it, and it would motivate you to shoot more, or like go out and get a better one, or whatever it is, and then like be proud to show people like what you got. Mm-hmm. And I think I have in the last like year, I've probably posted my photo account like 4 or 5 times on my page, and stories different. Obviously, I like interacting with the few people that still do see my stuff on there. And I don't know, I feel like I can't even talk about Instagram compared to some of you guys out there who are like actually grinding and making money off of it and everything, but
not us.
Yeah.
Definitely not us.
Yeah. I've never monetized it. I've never gone down that path with it, but I miss when like the people I wanted to interact with and was interacting with constantly would like see your stuff and look forward to that. And I feel like now, like even if it's your best friend, like you just get sucked into the whole like watch their story, scroll right past to the next thing, and so I've been trying to be better about like putting it down, and when I do pick it up, like really engaging with what I'm seeing. But
right. So what's the evolution of that as a creator then? If if part of the motivation anyways was that feedback and wanting to continually wow or inspire your viewers, and since that's there's no longer a viable arena to do that in the same way, what's the evolution, do you think, for you to kind of change the motivation?
so that's a part I should have touched on that too, is like I've it's been a while since I feel Instagram has motivated my work, like I don't shoot for it. I shoot for myself mainly if I'm shooting at all anymore. Right now it's very project based, but like if I'm going out and I'm picking up a camera and I'm firing off, shots of whatever I want to photograph that day, be it like an owl or something, like it's for me. And my experience now is like processing photos because I just love that. I love that whole process, watching it from start to finish, seeing what your camera can still do is, 5-year-old camera, like, oh, wow, this image quality is still really good. But it does eventually, at some point, like land on Instagram. I think what I use it for now is like, mainly it's the easiest portfolio to show people. Like we all carry around business cards, which is great, but like how often do you get a business card and you just stick it in your pocket and you forget to ever go to like that person's website?
Like 99% of the time.
Like all time.
Yeah.
I feel guilty. I got 3 sitting right here on my desk. But like how easy is it to be like, hey, follow me on Instagram so we can like keep in touch and so you can see my photography and stories and
yeah. Rewinding a bit, Aaron had when he was speaking, said the keyword pressure. Do you feel as a creator that there's potentially areas or an area where you put maybe an excessive amount of pressure on yourself, if at all? For example, I need to nail everything on my shot list 100% how I've envisioned it, or this short film I've made needs to be seen by at least 50,000 people. And I'll leave it at that before I give part 2 of this question, because I'm interested to hear this.
Yeah, all like literally every single waking minute of the day.
Really?
My friends like they like rip on me because I'm the like you're supposed to be your own harshest critic, right? But I've somehow something in my brain's taken that and just like slam dunked it over myself 100 times. Like that concept of like we've moved so far from community and we've gone like straight into this comparison culture of like I can't watch something without being like, damn, I should have shot that sequence like that, or colored it this way, and it's hard to say. Like I don't want to say I have imposter syndrome, but I've not taken film courses. I never took a photography class, like I've just figured it out on my own. So there's parts of my like workflow and how I shoot a short documentary, that I just have no idea of what I'm doing. I'm figuring it out as I go, and then to be in a place like this where there's like some really incredible filmmakers, like some of the best shooters anywhere in like nature and doc and all that stuff. And I'm sitting here like calling myself a filmmaker on my website. Like, am I?
Yes.
Thank you.
You are. We have this topic all the time, and I'll share this again for listeners, just from it's my personal opinion. The first time I bought a telephoto lens and I took a picture of a chipmunk, I put in my Instagram bio, wildlife photographer, like the very first time. Because there's no indication of your skill level in that title. There's terrible people who are in different professions all over the place, and there's exceptional ones as well.
Yeah.
I also found it interesting when you said, I don't think I have imposter syndrome, but often everything that preceded but is void. So maybe you do have a little bit. And I think knowing that is helpful. I think most of us feel some sense of that regularly. Like I know I do. There's been a couple times I just like even on the show here where I'm like, what am I doing here? People are listening every week to this.
Yeah.
And I think it's just part of the evolution I think it's part of the human experience, to be honest. I think some of those people who you mentioned where you're saying, oh, I should have shot it this way, I should have done it that way, probably feel what you're feeling to a similar degree, just in a different, perhaps, way.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I can jump into it, I think there's a lot of angles coming at every individual that's basically you're not quite enough. Like almost anyone, even with the best childhood, their parents, you could be like, yeah, but like I never felt like I was quite good enough. I got all A's, but they were wondering where the A pluses were, like that kind of thing. Then you have capitalism and marketing is just driven. I think especially to women, like you're not thin enough, you're not pretty enough, makeup, fake up, like all this stuff. And I think guys too, like with a lot of different aspects. And I think it just permeates. And then social media too divides and conquers. And like, I'm a wildlife photographer, but geez, I'm just taking photos of not just chipmunks. They're amazing, but I only have a chipmunk in my portfolio. And then look at this guy that lives out in Yellowstone. Like, am I really... And you could be happy 1 minute. Seth could be happy to say, like, I just got a new lens. I just saw a chipmunk. Wow, the detail is so sight. I'm editing it. I love chipmunks, like their color, so cool. Post it and then see a grizzly bear with cubs from Yellowstone and be like, oh, what the fuck? Like, damn it. So I think from all angles, we're getting nailed with like, nah, you're not quite there. And I think that takes a security or a sort of confidence or thick skin and the ability to just kind of ignore it and keep doing what you love. And I feel like those are the people that are successful. There's that true layer of, oh, they just really love what they're doing. And you can tell. And then that's attractive on its own. I don't know, just some food for thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like you go to all these, like these national park towns. Like where was I in? I was in Sedona. Well, Sedona's kind of crazy. It's not a national park, but I was in Sedona in April and walking down the street with a friend, and there was this gallery, and I just walked in, and photographer was there, and just beautiful space, and amazing images, and like this guy's just in downtown Sedona, one of the coolest little towns in the West, and gets to be surrounded by his artwork every day. Gets to meet all these people that are just passing through and talks to them about photography and all the things. And then he locks his door at night, and I'm sure he's got another job, but like that is his version of photography, and he loves it. He's inspired by it, I'm sure. And it's hard to like sit in a room and I guess like compare to anybody else when you're just looking at all the places that you've been. And I don't know if their photographs like a memory, like it's got to be a pretty cool feeling to sit in a gallery of all the things that you've seen. And
sure. Sure. Here's the flip side of that coin, potentially, though, just to demonstrate, I guess, how, he might have a conversation with you and you're talking about how often you're getting out or you're a guide, and he's thinking, man, I'm stuck in my own gallery 9 to 5 because it's my source of income. And I'm like, I'm not out as much as this guy. Man, I wish I could do that. I'd sell half my gallery just to go do that. Mm-hmm. Perhaps you're thinking, wow, this person's made it. They're surrounded by their artwork in Sedona. So it's the lens, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a helpful reminder it's helpful to remind yourself that no one's got it all figured out, or life's not a piece of cake, right? I guess I'm curious because you said you put so much pressure on yourself. Do you ever think about how to alleviate that? Or I'm curious as to what the tone of voice is when applying that pressure. Yeah. Like, is it a nice voice or is it an assertive voice, etc.? Like, is it, "Oh, damn, you're a piece of shit. You didn't get out today. You suck." Or is it,
Do you do what Seth does? If I'm like, buddy, I'm really anxious today, and he's like, have you ever tried not being anxious today? That's his therapy.
Yeah.
He's joking, but it's a funny.
But like, not really at the same time. Obviously, like, I'm not. If you have clinical anxiety or depression, those are serious things. I'm just saying, like, there's something about not taking everything so seriously that I'm saying from experience. Like, I'm trying to live that, that mantra a bit. Where maybe a few months ago, we were talking about nihilism as a creator, right? And I've been able to go from existential dread, thinking that nothing really matters, to, hey, nothing really matters. So, like, whatever. Like, I'm just going to do the best I can and do things that I want to do that are fun. But less about me, back to you. What's that voice sound like? And have you thought about ways to alleviate maybe some of that pressure if it's feeling like a pathology in a way?
That voice has so many different masks that it wears, like Monday it's one way, Tuesday it's another. I'll give you a good example. It's just like recently in my memory. I'm working on this project right now, and I decided a couple years ago, with the help of a friend, of like, hey, short documentary, like that's the way everything's going. People are watching stuff these days. Like, let's buy a mirrorless camera, like go that direction. And I made this little owl film. This is going back like 4 years ago, but it worked and it was great. And when it's out, it's awesome. But it takes you a long time to make that project come to life. And I think that what helps me is like, okay, you have this project on the back burner that's going to take you a year to put it out. But when you put it out, it's going to be so awesome. Like this one I'm working on right now, like we're like setting up film premieres and like panel discussions around it. Like we're just so excited to get people in like a seat to watch it, to have a conversation that's going to help like, the future for grizzly bears, hopefully. But that's like a year out, So for me, what helps is to be productive in like other ways. And recently it's been, I've kind of strayed away from my initial point, but recently it's been like Substack for me. If I have like a morning that I'm just like feeling creative, like today is a good example. Woke up, got a good night's sleep, not up at 5 a.m. guiding, right? I'll get on, I'll just like, brain dump onto a Substack post, like send it off, or like post some images off my camera, off my, whatever, and just get something out there. Like just that little bit of productivity helps. But to get back to the initial point, I was feeling down on myself, not yesterday, the day before. And I went out in the morning, like to go film bears. It didn't really go that well. And I was like, damn, like now I'm really down on myself. So I'm also running these camera traps at the same time while I'm working on this bear film, just to kind of like help the storyline along. I want to make this grizzly bear image like walking through a very not an urban area, but like this farm setting in a way. Like grizzly bears walking past farm equipment and like electric fencing, all the things. And as with with camera trapping, that's really hard. So I've not had success with it so far. But I don't film bears. I'm really down on myself, more down on myself than I was when I went out to film bears. Go to check my cameras, and sure enough, like got like 3 or 4 really sweet images. Like the flashes went off, the sensor fired at the right time, like all the things. So immediately I'm like, all right, like cool. There's a little bit of success there, like a little like, I don't know, something to be happy about in that moment, on this greater like creative track. And then, shortly after that, I set everything up again, went back into town. I got some really cool news about another thing project related. And it was like, that was awesome. It spun my mood around almost immediately, just like having those little wins along the way. And I think, again, like this longer format project is going to be awesome when it's there, but you got to stay like productive and whatnot along the way, or you just kind of get lost in that like that creative process, because you shoot something you like and then it sits on a hard drive for 3 months till you can actually get around to cutting it, coloring it, all the things.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
What does, just to needle this further, I was down on myself. What does that mean specifically for you?
I think it goes back to what we were just talking about, like the that productivity mindset. And I don't know, maybe it was, I can't remember specifically, but I think for me, when my camera, like when I'm shooting a documentary project. I don't know where I got this lens cap from. When I'm shooting a documentary project and my camera's in my bag for like a day or 2 days or 3 days, I just feel like very unproductive for that project, which is like, it couldn't be further from the truth, you know? And, you know, you look around at some of these like larger productions and everything, and like, there's like a finite amount of shoot days that they had. And now I'm talking about like an 8-month long, you know, season of filming. And there might be 25 days where I'm like camera in hand for several hours of that whole 8 months. And like forgetting about that and having a camera sit in a bag for, you know, for a week and not filming anything while I'm like down in the area where like everything's going on. It's just, that gets my brain wired in the wrong way.
Makes
if
sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I find it interesting how I mean, this is natural, but how that finding the bears on the camera trap just like totally flips the script. I mean, that day continues to get worse by the sounds of it if that card's empty.
Right. Spiraling out of control. No.
And it's what I'm mentioning is it's hard to try to learn to accredit the small wins to the effort versus the results. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like we want results, but it's hard to. I think it can be helpful if we can try to learn to.
Yeah.
For example, I went and checked the cameras. Like that's consistency. That's a win. I showed up today, regardless of whether the card had things on it or not. And I think we do have chances throughout our day to kind of build that muscle. I mean, I'm not perfect at that, but I can relate entirely to what you're saying, where I almost feel like where I've in the past felt like my worth is entitled to the result that I achieved. Because it feels good, right?
Yeah, that's the dopamine. As the quote says, the person that loves hiking will hike much further than the person that loves the destination.
Interesting.
Right? Like, and I think that's a lot of the diminishing returns of sort of the dopamine hit. It becomes like, you can just think about it with any species. Your first grizzly bear viewing an image. Okay, so Seth brought us to Jasper. On the highway, we see our first grizzly bear with cubs, and I basically went 70 miles an hour in reverse on the highway to like get back to see it. Everyone's like, "That's very illegal," and I went, "I don't care. Like I'm doing it."
It's very
there's a statute of limitations, and that was 3 years ago. So, anywho, but the difference being, just this summer, we're with grizzlies in Alaska for now the second summer in a row, and chill, putting the camera down by our side and just watching. Like there's a different sort of adrenaline hit in even just that example. And I think not to mention like the heyday of Instagram, but it's the beginning of our passion. And we're getting, for the first time, a lot of accolades, comments, praise for something that we're just starting. And man, does that feel good. It's like, imagine picking up piano for the first time or guitar, and everyone's like, "You are so good at this. You have a innate talent." Like you would just be blown away, and you would live off of that rocket for a long time. And I think just now it's like, it reminds me of when I got into golf so much that I got certified and became a teacher, and I was just teaching golf all the time and playing golf all the time and practicing for my own game. And eventually I was like, I don't want to be out on the course anymore. Like it's just there's too much stuff, and it's not the same excitement that I had. Like I took it too far in the wrong direction. And I think no matter what, it's fighting that sort of numbness that we can get and getting back to I love the process. What did I love from the beginning? Like being out in nature and seeing animals and even seeing like something from a distance and having the crappiest picture would make me so excited. And like keying back into that versus the I need to do better to get more reward. That's hard to say over and over and over. But that's sort of what I've been thinking too, and like slowing down a bit and going back through photos and thinking about memories and what was that like, and let's edit one photo from that trip. Like let's spend the night and take time again to sit and edit. And I mean, it's a different sort of feel than like pushing things out, but trying to key back into like the excitement of it versus the like Seth's saying, the destination.
Perhaps I guess there's added pressure because in your mind, I need this for my project. Like,
yeah.
And I guess what that leads to is the need to have blind faith that the outcome will happen, right? And I've been in this situation before. I'm familiar with this feeling of coming up short and just having blind faith, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like every one of these projects, like something happens down the stretch where it just like pulls it all together.
Yeah,
at least it's how it's been for me so far. It's like the come to Jesus moment kind of thing, and
sure.
You can't bank on that happening.
But you sort of can. You sort of can if you have a track. Or I'm not saying that you're totally apathetic, right? But if you have 10 projects where it hasn't felt like it's going to go and then it goes, on the 11th one, why would it be any different? I remind myself of that when I feel like I'm in the shit and things aren't going right. I'm like, I've been here before. I know this feeling, man. Like
this whole podcast is like a therapy session. This is what you just got to sell.
Yeah. But do you know what I mean, though? If you have like 40 instances, why is episode 41 going to be different? Like, you're going to find a way to make it happen. For me, that's like a helpful reminder in the moment when I feel like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys can relate or if I'm making much sense, but for me, it works, at least in terms of being that voice, being less critical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, experience drives like confidence, I think. Getting through it. I mean, I've got a cabin shoot next weekend, and it's been a minute, so I'm kind of like my brain's getting a little stressed with like, how's this flow go again? Like I'm starting now. The shoot starts now, and it's a week away of like just the flow, the shot list, the thinking, the figuring out sunrises, sunsets, all this stuff that you start to ruminate over, and there's a nervousness to it. I do have an underlying confidence because I've done it many times that it'll be okay. Like I'll get what I need to get, even if I'm not feeling like I know exactly what I'm going to be doing.
I don't think you know what you're doing ever.
No, you don't really. You can only predict. But
I meant you personally.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that was directed into the.
Oh yeah, but anyone, I agree.
Aaron never knows what he's doing. He's a fraud.
None of us do.
Yeah. Well, we're projecting onto the unknown, technically, and we don't know what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. We just try our best and try to predict and try to make things and problem solve and rely on past experience. That's it.
Yeah, I always look at it like if you're at least trying to make a documentary or whatever, like you're doing more than you would be if you weren't trying to tell that story at all. Mm-hmm. So some result of that is going to be like beneficial to the greater good, whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's something that's helped me along. It's like, dude, remember why you're doing this, right? Like,
what is that for you?
Yeah. For this, I mean, for this bear film, it's like the original goal was to tell my buddy's story and you know, get him support for his program that's going to hopefully like help communities along the expansion of grizzly bears into the future, like become bear proofed. So even if I don't make an award-winning documentary, like we're still going to have a lot of cool footage and important storylines to like show people what he's done. And that's great because at the end of the day, like, you know, a group of donors at a non-profit, you know, they don't care how something was shot. They just want to know the story. So I'll fall back to that if I'm like...
That's an amazing attitude, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, and again, like there's nobody else like out here trying to tell that story about like this guy, my buddy specifically, Um, so we're doing something. We're not just
Right.
sitting there and tucking our tail between our legs and saying, "Wow, I'm not a filmmaker." But
Sure. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's one of a kind in its own sense, right? And that's an emotionally compelling reason to continue when things are difficult, right? Um,
Mhm.
you're helping your friend who I'm sure you care about, and for something that's going to help communities. I think it's important to have, I say this, emotionally compelling reasons for doing something because you fall back on that, to use your terminology. If your reason for doing something is not doesn't move you, you're just not going to stick with it when things are not easy.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
It's also funny, like saying this stuff out loud is helpful because,
sure.
you know, like 10 years ago, Kyle would not have imagined that, you know, I literally have a camera trap out right now on a farm taking photos of grizzly bears. And while that's going on, like I'm driving my car into the mountains in Montana to try and film them. And then I got an interview with this person next week who's like a bear biologist and like just like
Yeah.
what? All these things, And um kind of to go way back to the beginning of this conversation, like the comparison culture idea, like you can probably take 10 filmmakers, photographers, journalists, put them all in a room together, and no path to that position was the same, right? Like we all got there a different way. And that's something I like to remind myself of constantly too, is like, I'm 28 years old. There's people who've been shooting stuff since they were like 20 and 21. That's beyond, right? Like
Yeah.
BBC and like all the craziest things that you see on TV. And they're just kids out there. And like they had an opportunity at that age, they took it. I had to get out here from New York, from the East Coast. Like that was a whole chapter of my life. Like
Mhm.
being an intern, working as a field technician, figuring out I even wanted to go to Montana. And then, beyond that, like having cameras with me and proving my worth to people who want to support my projects and all that sort of like it's a whole thing, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, that the journey, right? The journey's a part of it and it's still got a long way to go, but you know,
Yeah, and it's all relative. You're 28 looking at 21-year-olds. I started at 39 with a camera for the first time, and now I have a podcast about photography with Seth. Like it's bonkers, but at that time, it was so easy to be like, I'm too old for this game. Like, look at all these kids that are just crushing it. But you keep going, and it's hard to have blinders on sometimes, and you can really step in it if you're not looking around, but it's important to do your own thing and find your why and not be like, oh, well, that younger person's better than me, so they're already lapping me. I'm just going to hang it up.
Yeah, why bother, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same. Think about your favorite bands. Like, not everyone's the best guitarist, but they have a thing. They have a thing and a style and a it or a vibe or whatever it is, and you connect to them. Doesn't matter if they're 5 years older, 10 years older, 10 years younger, super young. There's just like a talent that you like, and not everyone's a virtuoso, but there's a lot of room for storytelling, period, and style and tone. And I
yeah,
think that's important to remember.
it's funny you bring up musicians because like I feel like a lot recently I've been looking at musicians and finding inspiration for my story work is like how many like CFG chord
Yeah,
progressions are there in the world? And how
exactly.
many more have yet to be written?
Yeah.
And these people are just charging with their head down and grinding it. And you know what? The framework's kind of laid out for you if you want to become like a touring artist and make a
Mhm.
little money here and there, but that's what you do. Like, and no one bats an eye. And when you're a musician, like everybody supports you, right? And you can say like, wow, well, that's really neat. Like they're in a van driving across the country playing little coffee shops, whatever it is, or busking out on the street. Like I don't know. I'm very inspired by musicians in that way.
Me too. I always think about this. If I put on Spotify and I'm brand new to it, so it doesn't know my algorithm, and it's just launching. I say like I like rock, and it's just launching me songs. I know myself as like a listener. I'm gonna be like meh, meh, eh, like 9 out of 10 times. Maybe one song I'm like, all right, that's okay. But is it the one that I really connect with? And these people have made it. Like these musicians have made it in some sense, the sense of they have an album on Spotify or they have, maybe they're famous as can be. Maybe Seth likes Nickelback and it's not for me.
I do like me. What do you mean maybe?
I'm just saying like there's a lot of different, there's a seat for every ass or an ass for every seat, in the sense like there's a lot of room for discerning enjoyment of art. And I think it's more like, how does this speak to me, or why does this speak to me? Someone that's into New York City fashion might not really love your documentaries. Doesn't speak to them. It's not their
How
thing.
dare they?
I know, but
I know it's
it's
ridiculous.
just true. And they might pass it by. But there is that person that will be really interested at the time, and it will hit really hard. And then it'll be a part of their framework for life, So it's, I think music is a great example of like, not everyone loves everything, yet they still do it.
You said you would have had a conversation maybe with 10 years ago, Kyle. What would you say?
Which perspective am I talking from? This one?
Sure.
Looking back. Yeah,
Are there any things you would say? I know it's almost like a cliche interview question now. But
yeah.
it's a good one. I mean, it's...
Yeah. I don't know, because in some ways I wake up and I am 10 years ago, Kyle, right? Like,
oh yeah,
well, maybe one day I'll be able to. No, yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, you could say the cliche thing of like, yep, keep your head down, keep working,
right?
And I don't know, just like enjoy the process, right? Like,
Yeah,
I want to be 70 years old and not know what I did or what I wanted to do for my whole life. Like that's something I just keep going back to. But yeah.
To take the pressure off you entirely here in the spotlight, I think for me it's been I would say have more fun, man. Have more fun and follow the things that bring you joy, but also realize there's still things you need to show up for that you may not love all the time. Like there's some days where I don't want to be taking pictures. And accepting that that's kind of a normal part of the ebb and flow of being a creator. I mean, you can't love something 100% all the time. Maybe you can. I've never experienced that, even with things that I hold dearly to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Not including people. Haley, if you're listening, love you all the time. She listens to the podcast. But it's true. Like you can't... I feel like even like showing up to the gym, if somebody loves going to the gym, there's just some days where you don't want to be there, but I think just going is helpful. Knowing that I'm here for the long ride, right? I'm zooming out, not so much focusing on day to day. I do want to ask you what you would attribute, or what attribute of yours you would most credit with being able to consistently put out films that's great work. Whether it's like a soft skill of yours, or perhaps that pressure you put on yourself is a double-edged sword in a good and maybe negative way, or if there's something else that comes to mind that you feel is something inherent to you that really helps you execute projects.
I think so. My films thus far have been like any film, like largely like people focused, and that's something I think that I've always been good at, is like not just like connecting with people on deeper levels, but like forming trust in a way. I'll give you a good example. I was down in Patagonia last year for a couple months, working on a project that I got a little bit of funding for about a good friend of mine's father, he's the leading expert, one of them in the world, on this bird called the Andean condor. And
Wow.
I had this idea going in to like tell that story, and we had like some plans to go to these old places that he had been and like look for specific species and kind of tell the history of how his work came to be. But Lorenzo and I, we just got very close, and he's this, mid-70s guy from Argentina, his incredible life history. We and very personable. This, like, I'm so grateful to all of them for that whole experience. But we got very close, and there was a point there, like midway through that whole trip down, that he and I we sat down together. We were drinking mate, and we talked for 2 hours about his life history and how complex it was, and how he lived through a political dictatorship in Argentina, and watched like half of his cohort in veterinary school just like vanish from the earth due to this political dictatorship.
Whoa.
And like, we were both crying. And this is a guy, like, his daughter told me she's never seen him in his life cry, So I feel like one of my biggest motivators in the work that I do and will continue to do is like taking these people and like, telling their story in the truest way, in an emotional way. Yeah, I could probably riff on that a little more, but it's these human stories, especially like these older generations that aren't going to be here as long as we are, and gosh, surrounded by so many just wonderful people that are scientists, and like this one particular friend of mine, he's again 74 years old. He studied birds of prey his whole life, and you wouldn't know him from Adam, right? Like walking around the grocery store, but he is the reason that we have like 30 years plus of research here in the Western, like 40, 50 years in the Western US on like golden eagle populations and how they migrate through this part of Montana and where they go. And there's this standardized practice that he helped like build up here at all these different sites. And like, I'm going to try and make a documentary about that,
Yeah.
And be able to watch it forever and have people be able to watch it forever and just like learn, about the people walking around us constantly, like all their stories and how important they all are to tell, that's my biggest motivator, I think.
Yeah. And skill.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. By the sounds of it,
Yeah. I would never attribute that as a skill to myself, being my self-critic,
Wow. At least you have humility.
Right.
Another skill.
Should we keep embarrassing you?
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going. Make me uncomfortable.
Yeah. I can't remember if we touched on this during the maybe we did at the beginning. You said you'd like being a filmmaker to be full-time. Is there anything more that you're hoping to make of this life as a creator, as a human? Like, do you have plans, or are you just trying to create doors and walk through them as they open?
Yeah, I think just kind of go with the flow, right? And my biggest goals right now are that it's just do this work full time. Be proud to say, hey, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a photographer, I'm a storyteller, I'm a conservationist. I had a really, really fun, productive meeting with these folks probably about a month ago now, kind of related to this bear film and some of the work they're doing down south on black bears and Florida panthers and all this. And the one gentleman who's kind of the head of this nonprofit, he's making these documentary films about things like Florida panthers. And he said, somebody asked him like, oh, aren't you worried there's like too much competition in that? And he's like, no, because around every corner, there's another story like waiting to be told. Like there aren't enough of us, And that really helped me because he's right. There aren't enough. And how many different stories could you tell about grizzly bears if you don't just like tell it in a blue chip nature sequence, but you pick somebody who's had like a different experience with a grizzly bear throughout their life,
Mhm.
right? How many different angles are there? Like an infinite amount. And maybe that's just in Montana. Then you have like all of Canada, you have Alaska, you have Europe.
Mhm.
Like just so I think getting out of the expanding your mind around like it's not just one subject, it's like a giant web of like all these different people and things and places that have interacted with that subject, and think about all
Yeah.
the opportunity for story there is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your CFG chord analogy right there. Like it's the same general subject, but there's so many different melodies that you can place on top of it, tone, sound, rhythm, speed, and you can make your own sequence there for sure.
Right.
It's nice knowing that stories are essentially limitless.
Mhm.
I've never thought about that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And every experience is a story, right? Me going to the grocery store today was a story because there were so many college kids that I just wanted to drive right now. I can't say that on the podcast.
No, you can say that. That's,
Cut. No.
you just can't do it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You can think
No.
it.
Just gotta
I
back
have a personal question about like Yellowstone and the greater area. How long have you been there?
This is year 7.
Year 7. So
Mhm.
how has it changed in 7 years through before COVID, after COVID, now? I have to be honest, like it since I started photography and wildlife photography, it was always I got to get out there. I have not been there. And then slowly seeing things, there is a huge hesitation in terms of like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. And that might be the perception of people just posting the popular spots and the bear jams and the bad behavior, if you will, and just sort of it kind of looks messy. And I know there's lots of areas and spots that probably aren't, but I'm just curious the evolution in 7 years of that national park.
Yeah, there's this funny like concept that always comes up in conversation in places like Montana, especially, of like, oh, how long have you been here? And there's somebody always willing to be like, yep, I've been here 30 years or I've been here 40 years. And I remember when 19th down Bozeman was gravel road and all the things. And it's like, great. So that was your experience.
Mhm.
And of course, the further you go back, like the quicker things have changed.
Mhm.
But in 7 years, it's changed quite a bit. And a lot of that has probably been personal change in how I perceive the place and like my interactions with it. But there's no denying that like right now we're experiencing what's probably going to be the busiest September on record for Yellowstone Park based on hotel reservations and entry tickets and all that stuff. And it feels that way
Mhm.
getting out there every day. Yellowstone had a huge like influence when I was thinking about moving here. I wrote a little piece about this on my Substack recently. About like when I was a field technician traveling across Montana surveying birds. That's how I got out here. It's like an internship in like midway through college. I would work like 14 days in a row so I could have 5 days off in a row and drive to Yellowstone and camp there and drive around the Northern Range or wherever and photograph the bears and the wolves and the birds and all that. And I think my memory is pretty good that it was not busy. Like you'd find a roadside black bear and you'd have it to yourself kind of deal, And now those experiences are a lot harder to get. I think the Yellowstone visitor has changed in the last 6-7 years just based on how everybody now has a camera, because that changes like a bear jam, because now you don't have somebody going like, wow, honey, a bear, that's cool, let's keep going.
Yeah.
You have pull over, can't get off the road, oh well, leave my car right in traffic and leave it, like flashers on, run across the road with your camera, try and get your shot. Like, so it's definitely changed. But like all that being said, and I could say a lot more, like it is the reason those opportunities exist is because Yellowstone is a one of a kind place, at least in the lower 48, you know? There's literally no place else in the world where you can just like drive your car not that far from a major airport. You know, I'm catching direct flights back home to New York into Bozeman, Montana now. And, you know, you drive 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever, and you're like parking and looking at a wild wolf. And you know what? Sometimes you can get a picture of it. Like,
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking cool. And I think, you know, it is a double-edged sword, and like there's so many people coming, there's so many photographers, but like the best thing for wolves and the best thing for grizzly bears and the best thing for bison is like hundreds or thousands of people coming each year to take pictures of them and post about it online, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Especially the predators, man. Like, you know, we're at a really tricky time in the world, not just here, like everywhere. Like we're going backwards on our perceptions of predators, and we shouldn't be, right? Like all the science exists, but a lot of it's getting thrown out the window. And it's like, no, we want people to be here and like photographing grizzly bears and know that there's like an economic engine that is created by bears and wolves in Yellowstone, you know, that like employs me. It employs hundreds of other guide companies. It's pumping millions of dollars into local economies that's a big deal, you know? And gosh, I just love that you brought this up because I think about it so much. But Yellowstone's 2.2 million acres. Experts believe the ecosystem is some 20 million acres, right? All that chaos that you see, all those cell phone videos, the guy, I just saw the video again yesterday, the guy at like Old Faithful area, he's just like dancing with a bison, like 10 feet away from him, like just nuts. This dude with dreadlocks, and he's just like, it's just so awesome. Like not awesome, illegal, but kind of awesome, right? All that stuff is happening along like the 200 miles of roads that we have built through this park. You walk over like one hill and like that whole experience changes.
Yeah.
And you're not in a human landscape anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And if you have the opportunity and your legs work well and you can carry a heavy pack, walk over that hill for 5 days and go get your backcountry campsites and like be in the wilderness that is Yellowstone, you know? Because it is absolutely incredible that what we have here. And that is what, at the end of the day, like I am inspired by, and it's why I've done this job for 5 years and might for longer, you know, because we're just like in the chaos, we're in the hustle bustle on the road corridor, but just beyond it is like, it's paradise. The world feels old there.
Well said. That's awesome.
Very well said. Kyle, thanks for joining us today, man. Where can people check out your films that have already been out or coming out, or maybe take up your guiding services? Is there anything we can link?
Best way to get in touch is probably Instagram. My website's linked through there. Like we all are, I'm constantly undergoing like website template changes and all that stuff. So my films aren't even on there right now, which is so dumb. But YouTube, Kyle Dudgeon Creative, I got a couple hundred subscribers there. I know it's a pretty big deal, but that and Instagram, YouTube, that's where my stuff is. The best way to find out what's going on and all that. But
awesome. Well, links to all that are in the episode description, everybody. Kyle, thank you, man. And thank you, Slater, for recommending you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks, Slater. And really appreciate this conversation.
All right. Till next time.
Take care.